So I'm Paul Taylor-Jones. I'm the IT Solution Delivery Director for Group IT, and clearly I work in Rolls-Royce. And today I'm going to cover off these 4 elements for you. I'm going to talk about how Rolls-Royce maintains the edge, what our strategy is and how that encompasses Group IT. I'm going to talk briefly about digital core and digital twins, and then I'll close by talking about a 360-degree view of our customer and our assets. So, first thing I should say is that a lot of you are aware of the Rolls-Royce brand, but our Rolls-Royce motor division span off a number of years ago. So that may lead a lot of questions here to go, well, what do Rolls-Royce actually do? Well, to be honest, we do more than just make engines for jets. Our purpose is very clear. We pioneer the power that matters, and that power is to connect, power and protect society. We have a very clear vision, and that vision there is around being a leading industrial technology company. It's quite an important point. Clearly our mission as well, you have seen that in the press quite a lot. We too were at COP26, talking about leading the transition to net zero through different technology. So all of that is great, but it's all underpinned by our people. And our people live by our values and our behaviours. So our values around trust, integrity, and you'll be pleased to know safety. Our behaviours, we talk about them being our ABCs. I think the formatting's a little bit out on this, but ABCs are our agility, it's about being bold, it's about collaboration, but equally, it's about simplicity. Our divisions are made up of these. So we have our civil business, our defence business, power systems, and then electrical and SMR. So from our civil business, we have 35 different types of aircraft that are powered by our engines and over 15,000 bases. Our power systems generate about 40,000 customers in 13 different countries, and we sell about 20,000 different engines a year. Our defence, we've got over 160 customers in 100 countries. And new to us, or relatively new over the last couple of years, is our electrical division and also our SMR, which stands for Small Modular Reactors. So a couple of key points, 700 patents registered in 2019. That's more than double our closest competitor. We've got 45,000 global employees, and also we are the only organisation that's actually licensed to develop and build nuclear reactors in the UK. So rather than me talk a little bit more about the company, I have got a 2-minute video that will just explain a little bit more for you. Okay, so I hope that answered the question around what do Rolls-Royce do then if we don't do cars? So what are we actually doing as a business to actually maintain the edge over our competitors? Well, there's these 4 elements I'm just going to touch on briefly. There's quite a lot more, but these are the ones that are really quite important to us. For those of you who were really watching the video quite closely, you may have seen this. That electrical aircraft on the left is called the Spirit of Innovation. It is the world's fastest electrical aeroplane. Holds 3 records, the fastest 3K, the fastest 15K, and the fastest 3K vertical climb. It reached a total of 387.4 miles per hour on one of its runs, so quite a revolutionary product. Our second thing that we're doing as well isn't just around new products, but this isn't a service. So what we have is a total care service, which really means that instead of buying an engine, you actually pay for the hours that the engine's in use. So we call it engine flying hours. So really that means that all the costs for the maintenance and support are actually borne by Rolls-Royce. Clearly, you just pay for the amount of use. We fly roughly about 5 billion miles of engines using that engine, so that's quite a big number. You've all heard about sustainable aviation fuel. We were in the news not so long ago. We built a jet engine that runs on hydrogen, and we've been working with EasyJet to test that. It wasn't just any old hydrogen, you'll be pleased to know, it's green hydrogen, which means that it's actually been made using wind and tidal power. And finally, from a business perspective for today, small modular reactors. And these are about creating clean, affordable energy that can be built in a factory. And again, if you'd have seen the news, you will have seen that we're in the process of selecting a place to build the factories for that. So where does Group IT sit into that? So let's look. So collaborating, protecting and sustaining is a Group IT strategy, underpinned by our people. we celebrate success, we act as a team, we grow and inspire that team, and we also live by our values and behaviours, which I talked on before. Underpinned, or as we get towards the centre, simplify and digitalise. I'm sure we're all familiar with that. Cyberspace, cyber safe, I hope we're all familiar with that in today's world. IT excellence, we're always driving towards that. And then a digital experience for our customer. Not forgetting, our centre bullseye is around the digitally powering and net zero Rolls-Royce. So this is what we in Group IT are driving towards. So what I'm going to pull out now is just one element of that for today, and that's to simplify and digitalise. Sounds really wordy, sounds very strategic, but what does it actually mean? It means these three things. It means that we need to ensure we've got the foundations to run and operate our business. It means that we need to create a digital core, and then we also need to have a 360-degree view of our customer and our assets. So let's talk about the digital core for a second. So you can see all the data flows in between, and if you look on the outside of this ring, you can see all the different components, all the different areas of the business that need to talk together. So requirements for a new engine, the design, validation, manufacturing it, the supply chain. We've got to assemble it, we've got to build it, then we've got to service it, and then what we call MRO, maintenance, repair and overhaul. That's quite a lot of data from a lot of different systems that we need to pull together. The good thing is, or the good news is, once you've done that, you can then create a digital twin, which makes it really powerful. Because instead of having to do everything manually, build these engines, test them to destruction, everything else like that, you can do it all digitally. So what do we do with this data now we've got it? Well, we run a whole host of simulations, and that allows us to forecast the engine and the engine performance, and allows us to predict when that engine or parts of that engine need maintenance. The second thing we do, we all are aware of IoT and the IoT platforms. Every single one of our engines has about 170 separate sensors on it. So every flight, we monitor the engine health. We connect that directly with the airlines, so it is their records, but we actually use that to synchronise our maintenance records with them. But we know exactly what's happening with every single one of our engines around the world at a moment's notice. We also simulate hundreds of thousands of unique flights. And you might say, well, why do you do that? Well, if you're flying an aircraft over a desert and there's sand in the atmosphere, it will wear the engine down a little bit more than it would if you're flying it over the UK. So understanding all those different changes in temperature, atmosphere, location is really quite useful to understand how and when these engines will need maintenance. Finally, we monitor the engine against normality, so we can start to predict that an engine's going to break or there's going to be a part that needs to be replaced in a certain number of hours. We can also use that and feed that back to the customer, but we can also use that to understand how the plane is being flown. So you might not know, but a plane doesn't need to be at 100% throttle to take off. You may well remember or think, if you're back when you're flying, that when you actually have taken off, it feels like the engines have stopped. They haven't, they've just been pulled down. An engine can take off at 70% throttle. But what we can actually do is, if we're noting that the pilot is putting his throttle all the way forward, like you would in your car, putting your foot down to get off the runway, then actually it's burning more fuel, costing the airline more, and actually it's not doing the engine any good either. So we can provide recommendations to the airline about the engine performance, all through digital twins. All good so far? Good. Right. Everybody likes some fun facts. So we're just going to lighten the mood a little bit with a little bit of fun facts. So did you know that the highest temperature inside our engines is nearly half as hot as the sun? So that means that when they're at operating temperature, technically the engine's parts inside would melt. You'd be pleased to know they don't. They're covered in ceramics and they're designed very well, but they don't do that. And to put that into concept, that's like taking an ice cube out of your freezer, having preheated your oven to 200 degrees, putting it on a baking tray, pop it in your oven, wait for 4 hours, open your oven, take out the baking tray, and the ice cube's still frozen. Those are the kind of challenges that we need to do to make sure that our engines maintain and run properly. Don't be scared about flying, it's fine. Our XWB engines fly over 11 million miles, 450 times around the world before they need a service. I wish my car would do that, but that's brilliant. Also, you won't be surprised to know that as technology continues to develop, our engines become more efficient, and our latest engines are 15% more efficient than the original ones. I talked about engine takeoff. A Rolls-Royce engine blade generates over 800 horsepower. That's equivalent to a Formula One car. And as you can see from there is 68 of those in each engine, so you can imagine the force. You could actually, as another fun fact, it isn't written on here, or technically, you could hang a double-decker bus from a fan blade without it breaking. That's the strength of these components. Now, you may also have seen in the news the Ultrafan, which is our latest demonstration engine. It's the biggest engine in the world. It's the most efficient engine in the world, and it's fitted with some of the latest technology. It also has a diameter of 140 inches, which is the same size as a tube train, which was an interesting fact this morning when I was thinking about it on the tube. Rolls-Royce is the only engine manufacturer that's built an engine that can take off and land vertically. And for those of you like me who are old enough to remember the Harrier jump jet, that could actually fly backwards too. So a little bit of fun facts there. Back to business. So we've talked about creating the digital core. Talk briefly about a 360-degree view of the customer and assets, which really sits within my area of Group IT. And what we're trying to do here is if we use an example of business aviation. So you might think, well, what is business aviation? Well, business aviation has got 3,000 customers. They've got airlines on the left, or airframes, Dassault, Gulfstream, I'm sure you've already heard of them. They fly about 37 million engine flying hours per year done through our business aviation team. And the acronym, because I needed someone to point this out for me, that stands for Ultra High Net Worth Individuals. So those are the buyers. Now, you might think they own the aircraft, but they don't necessarily own the aircraft in all cases. Some clearly do. But they may well use an aircraft through an influencer, a lawyer, a management company, or just flight departments. The key difference with them, though, is they all want an aircraft to be ready when they say it's ready. Because they want to go to the beach when they want to go to the beach. So what that means for us, it creates a whole challenge that we need to be able to maintain and support these aircraft at any one time. So we have spares in 9 locations across the world. I have to also point out these aircraft can land in 500 more airports than the normal jump jets or normal aircraft. So quite substantial that would be it. We have to be able to move things around quite quickly. We've also got 78 on-call, on-wing technicians, 75 authorised service centres, and we've got 160 engines positioned around the world that we can move around at any one time to do that, supported by 25 customer managers. So why do we want to do that? Well, we need to continue to be recognised as a #1 customer and service organisation. We need to ensure we maintain 100% averted missed trips. So when one of those ultra high net worth individuals says, I need my plane to go to the Caribbean tomorrow, that plane is ready. So we have 24 hours when there is an issue to resolve an aircraft on ground AOG resolution. So clearly, business aviation has been quite important for us. So what have we actually done to actually change some of the challenges in that area? Well, what we've done is we've been working with Hitachi and Microsoft. Microsoft on lots of proof of concepts, Hitachi on building out one of our enterprise tools specifically for business aviation. And we've used the Dynamics platform. We've replaced ad hoc tools and data sources, and we've put them all into one single source of the truth. So this is creating that 360-degree view of the customer and of the engine assets all in one place. It's really allowed the business aviation team to change their processes, refine them, and to better manage the customer demand, really ensuring that we continue to drive an excellent customer service. So I hope that has given you a little bit of insight into Rolls-Royce, what we actually do, how we're, as a business, trying to maintain the edge, and how Group IT are helping support that too, using our enterprise tools. And that's me. Thank you.